I know I usually rank shows or talk about newer anime, but today I'm doing something a little bit different. We're talking about Gamers, an anime that's been on my watch list for a while, and as someone who is a huge gamer myself, when I heard there was a romance anime centered around gamers, I figured why wouldn't I give it a chance? Now depending on who you ask, this series has a ton of positives and a ton of negatives. Some people may absolutely love it while others are frustrated with it. After finishing the show, I think I understand both sides, so let's talk about it. So this series follows our main character Keita Amano and his group of friends. So let's start with Keita himself. Amano is an avid gamer. He's the kind of guy who spends his free time playing games whenever he can. At school he's viewed as a bit of a loner and an oddball because of how much he loves gaming, but it doesn't stop at mobile games or one specific genre. He just genuinely loves games. One day while he's out shopping for a visual novel, he meets Karen Tendo, one of the most popular girls in school. She's talented, attractive, outgoing, and basically good at everything. Of course she ends up becoming one of the main characters. What I really liked about their first interaction is that they instantly bonded over games. I feel like anybody who has a hobby they're passionate about can relate to this. Whether it's games, anime, manga, sports, whatever it may be, when you meet somebody who shares that same passion as you do, conversations, they just flow naturally. You can talk for hours without even realizing it. After talking more, Tendo eventually invites Amano to join the school's gaming club, and honestly, when I first watched this, I thought he immediately was gonna say yes, but he didn't. And this ended up being one of my favorite parts of the series. The members of the gaming club don't just enjoy games, they want to be the absolute best at them. They play competitively and take gaming very seriously. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, per se, but Amano's reason for declining the invitation really resonated with me. He basically explains that while gaming can be competitive, for him, it's supposed to be fun first and foremost. Games are an escape for him. There's something he enjoys after a long day or just playing them in general. And while he respects people who want to become the best, he doesn't want gaming to feel like a chore. I honestly felt that to my core though. As somebody who plays a lot of games myself, I've always felt that enjoying a game is more important than being the best at it. And I do think that this series deserves some credit here because you can tell that the author genuinely loves gaming. Throughout the show there are tons of little references, especially in the opening. There's some discussions and little details that feel like they were written by someone who actually understands gaming culture. So while Amano respects the club, he decides it just isn't for him. And for Tendo, this completely throws her off, bro. She's used to everyone saying yes to her, and she's used to people agreeing with her all the time. Whether it's students, teachers, boys, girls, it doesn't really matter. People generally do what she asks. So when Amano declines her invitation, it's something completely new for her, and honestly, I think that's when she starts falling for him. Not because he rejected her romantically, but because he challenged her perspective, I think. His answer was something she couldn't really understand, which only made her more interested in him. But after this, she becomes a little bit of a stalker. She's constantly watching him, trying to understand him, following him around, and finding excuses to interact with him any chance she gets. The calm, cool, collected Karen Tendo, the school's bombshell, suddenly becomes flustered and scatterbrained because of a guy who just really loves video games. And it's honestly pretty funny to me. They are the main duo of the show, so I'm going to talk about the rest of the cast now. First is going to be Tasuku. Tasuku starts off as someone who actually likes games, but he pretends that he doesn't. Back in middle school, he was considered a nerd, and by the time high school rolled around, he completely reinvented himself. He wanted to be popular. He wanted people to like him, and because of that, he tried to distance himself from gaming. But after meeting Amano, that slowly starts to change. Despite starting off somewhat cold towards him, the two become friends pretty quickly because they genuinely enjoy talking about games together. And honestly, their friendship is pretty good, I would say. Then we have Aguri, and I am not gonna lie, Aguri might actually be my favorite character in this entire show. She's hilarious, she's adorable, and somehow she's involved in almost every ridiculous situation that the show makes. She's been in love with Tasuku since middle school, and one of the funny parts of their relationship is that she changed herself over the years to become someone that she thought he'd like. When Tasuku realizes who she actually is, he ends up appreciating her more because she liked him even when he was a nerd in middle school. The two of them are really entertaining together though, I will say. And then finally we have Chiaki. Chiaki is another huge gamer and she even develops games herself. She's probably the biggest gaming nerd in the entire cast, even over Amano. Ironically, the reason she gets involved with everyone in the first place is because Tasuku wants Amano to practice talking to girls, because despite the fact that Amano likes Tendo, he genuinely believes that she has no interest in him at all. Which brings us to the biggest thing about this anime, the misunderstandings, bro. And trust me, when people talk about gamers, this is the main thing that would be brought up while talking about it. I saw someone online describes this anime as 10% gaming, 20% romance, and 70% misunderstandings. And after finishing the show, I can definitely say that this is the most accurate description possible for this show.
Your lovey-dovey newlywed life reaches high tide. You bust your bed getting busy.
I can't believe you actually broke the bed, you horn dog!
Who are you calling a horn dog? We could have broken the bed doing it the regular way, you know?
Doing it the regular way! That's how you describe our love life!
Wait, I didn't mean anything bad by it. I just assumed that we...
Shut up!
Sorry about that.
Show them you're a couple. Show them you're a couple.
How come I'm in cahoots with Hoshinomori's romantic rival?
I think it's a couple.
The misunderstandings aren't just a part of the story, bro. They are the story. They force everything to go. Almost every conflict happens because somebody misunderstands a situation, jumps to a conclusion, or assumes something that's just not true. For me, I think it's pretty funny. The audience usually knows what's actually happening while the characters are creating problems that never existed in the first place, but I can also see why a lot of people get frustrated with it, because the series never really moves away from that formula. Even when characters start getting closer, misunderstandings continue causing chaos to the entire cast. The funny part is that the characters are always trying to solve problems that only exist because of another misunderstanding that happened earlier. Tasuku sees Aguri hanging out with Amano a lot, so she must like him then, right? Tasuku tells Chiaki she should cut her hair and she would look better that way. Therefore, he must be cheating on Aguri in her mind. Tendo waves at Tasuku and they are talking, right? Well, that means she must like him instead of Amano. They're all hanging out talking about how they can catch their partners in the act of cheating. It's a constant cycle. It's pretty nuts. It's honestly impressive how complicated they managed to make every single thing. Now, a bit of a spoiler warning because my videos are usually spoiler free, but I have to mention this part. Tendo and Amano eventually start dating because this happens like a bit later in the series. You would think this happens because they finally confess their feelings for each other, but not really. It's another misunderstanding. Amano originally wanted to ask Tendo if they could just be friends because he thought she didn't really like him anymore after he rejected the gaming club invitation. But when the moment finally comes, he accidentally asked her out instead of just asking her to be friends, and she casually told him yes. And that's how they start dating, bro. You may think I'm joking, but that's literally what happens. A misunderstanding caused them to start dating. Meanwhile, like I touched on earlier, Tasuku and Aguri are constantly convincing themselves that the other person is interested in somebody else, despite the fact that they are dating. And it just keeps escalating all the time. At some point, you stop asking how these misunderstandings keep happening, and you just accept that chaos that is the natural state of this friend group. Now, because of all this, I really wouldn't classify Gamers as a romance first. I'd honestly call it a comedy and slice of life series with romance elements. The romance is there for sure. There are some genuinely sweet moments, but if you're expecting huge emotional payoffs or some groundbreaking love story, this probably isn't the show for you. The comedy is absolutely the main attraction and I love it. And whether you enjoy the comedy is going to depend entirely on how much patience you have for the misunderstandings in the show. If you can laugh at characters accidentally making every situation 10 times more complicated than it needs to be, you probably have a good time. If misunderstandings drive you crazy, this series probably isn't for you. For me though, I had fun with it. It's not perfect and I definitely understand some problems that it has, but it gave me quite a few laughs and it showed me some surprisingly relatable thoughts about gaming and featured a cast that was entertaining to watch all the way through. So overall, yeah, I'd say Gamer's a really solid series. Maybe not one I'd recommend to absolutely everyone, but if you're looking for a comedy with some gaming references and you don't mind misunderstandings, then maybe you should give this series a watch. And if not, don't give it a watch. It probably will piss you off.